In this video, I'll be reviewing your Pokemon, and more specifically, we'll be having a look at 3 Pokemon that Alainite has posted in the Nirtheart Discord in the YouTube My Mon text channel. So we have a Pokemon Sleep category in the Nirtheart Discord. You get access to it by becoming a YouTube member of the channel. It starts at $2 for whatever your local currency is. I live in Norway, so that is 19 kroner. And you get lifetime access by being a YouTube member for at least 1 month. So, with that said, let's have a look at these Pokemon that Alainite has submitted. This is actually an interesting submission because presumably he is writing, these mons got value long-term ? New player on week 3, rank 20. Pretty interesting stuff here. That means you probably are following along that free-to-play series and hopefully enjoying it. And the first Pokemon here is the Igglybuff. Now, Igglybuff is a huge Pokemon to get right early on, and for sure this is an interesting submission. And I think there's a lot of potential discussion that can be had here about this Igglybuff. So first of all, I just want to preface this. I don't know if you're a premium or a free-to-play player, and that makes a huge difference in this case, in my opinion. The other thing is, I tend to be a little bit more strict on my Pokemon than maybe what is needed, so keep that in mind too. And a lot of people also tend to value helping bonus more than I do, so keep that in mind as well. So probably the comments on this video can be very helpful. If you guys watching have other thoughts than what I say, then we can help out Alainite as a new player to the game and really get going. So the first thing that we're going to have a look at with this Igglybuff is the nature. It's relaxed. Now, EXP gains down, energy recovery up. It's actually not bad. The energy recovery up on a healer Pokemon can, in a way, be a decent buff. Now, would you prefer speed or preferably main skill chance up? I think main skill chance up is the best, and speed is also quite nice. And I think in this case, energy recovery at least doesn't hurt. Now, what happens with the energy recovery nature is the healing from the nap sessions, the main sessions get boosted, but they can't get boosted past 100%. But the healing that you heal yourself has a multiplier based on this. So all those rates that you see here, for example, at main skill level 6, you heal 18. Technically, this is 18.1. I like the rounded numbers. And this is some point. But yeah, main skill level 6 has 18 percentage points healed per trigger. If you multiply that by 1.2, then you get an additional almost 4 extra points healed. So this one is close to 21.5 per trigger, specifically for Igglybuff. This effect only applies to Igglybuff, so none of the other Pokemon gets this benefit. And what that does is it helps you stay a little bit more energized and maybe not fall so hard behind, compared to as if that nature had been flipped around. But long term, whenever the healer Pokemon, the energy for everyone Pokemon, hits, let's say, main skill level 7 or maybe even 8 in the future, I don't think that will be a factor at all, but maybe in the beginning you'll get a feel for it. So the first sub skill is helping bonus. I mentioned helping bonus already. It is a very strong sub skill, especially if you run the healer on your team all day, every day. In the case that you are running a full-on Suicune overstack, focused on Cyan Beach for the long haul, just stay around there for a long time, then maybe having the Igglybuff here with helping bonus, favored berry, can be a strategy. The next sub skill is skill trigger M. And then we have helping speed S, which I'm just gonna wand to helping speed M, because it's not blocked later on. And then at level 75, we have inventory S. And at that point in time, this is quite nice. Obviously, this is still an Igglybuff, so the stats are not really adjusted for that. Maybe we can just make a case example here. You decide on going on the Wigglytuff, you get it to level 60, you evolved it twice, and you got 2,000 hours on it. And then long term, maybe you want to get that inventory L2, and then you're at level 75. This is not a bad healer by any standard. Like, this is really, really strong. The hesitancy that I personally have with Wigglytuff as a whole is just how power crept has been by Gardevoir. Now, you kind of need a healer at some point soon to really get going. And so for most, the strategy is simply look for a skill level up Igglybuff, evolve it into Wigglytuff, and then you have a main skill level 5 decent healer, and it does the job decently well. And then you get to Lapis, start hunting Ralts. But getting to Lapis is not straightforward, and unless you do some really heavy strategizing at Cyan Beach, you look specifically for the Mankey and the Chikorita like I have, so that you're prepared for Lapis Lakeside, then the Ralts healer may be 6 or 7 or 8 months out in the future. And at that point, the candy availability for Wigglytuff and the fact that you haven't had a healer for 6 months that has been decent is a huge cost. So it's just, there's a lot of things to consider. If you're premium, I think this may be a solid consideration because you have sub-skill seeds quite available and quite a few main skill seeds too, and so you can afford to waste them a little bit. I can tell you that when I started out, I didn't have perfect information. By far, a lot of the information we were basing our decisions on either got power crept or was just plain wrong. And so I probably have wasted the better of 5, 6, 7 main skill seeds since I started. And at that point, you're starting the game fresh. You have access to a lot of quality knowledge at this point. We've explored the game quite a bit. We understand kind of where it's going. So overall, if you do decide on investing in this Wigglytuff, it won't be a problem. Like, you'll be pretty set on the healing. You get it to main skill level 7 or 8 long term, and that's it. You probably don't need the Gardevoir. Even long term, then if there is some sort of energy mechanic change, you may be a little bit vulnerable compared to the Gardevoir. Like, hypothetically, like now, just like in another galaxy, if Mega Evolutions come around and the mechanic is tied to energy, Gardevoir has a Mega Evolution and could just become triple S tier. But for now, I think this is a pretty safe invest. Like, you won't regret it. That's the main thing. Like, Wigglytuff is not bad, all things considered. Compared to the Gardevoir, it's just Gardevoir is a lot stronger, so if you could choose, you would go for the Gardevoir, but it's not night and day when you start getting into these level 7s and 8s potentially on the main skill. So you get enough healing, and that's the main job, and it could potentially save you for a lot of agony and save you a lot of resources not having to look for that perfect Gardevoir when you already have a very decent Igglybuff. And I just realized we've talked for a long time. We need to get going because we have 2 more Pokemon and I'm excited to see what they are. So hopefully I've given you some guidance here on what you can consider. And yeah, I look forward to hear what you eventually decide on. I see that this was posted just a week ago. You probably haven't made a big life-changing decision yet on it, so hopefully this video is still relevant and helpful to you. Okay, then we have a Wartortle, and we're gonna just plot in the Wartortle right into the widget because it's kind of funny seeing these not evolved yet. Let me just double check something. I got a little bit curious what happened just now. Okay, never mind. I don't think it was a huge deal, but yeah. May have to edit that out. Alright, we are back into the expansion, and we are going to reset these subskills. And we are going to plot in the rash nature, which is amazing. Probably best nature you can have on most skill specialists. I'm joking. We're talking about ingredient specialists. And we have ingredient finding S. Then we have inventory. And since this is still a Wartortle at level 15, I think we're going to just pause there and think a little bit. It has not evolved twice, it's only evolved once. And it has 19 inventory, which means, wait, what is it going? There we go. It doesn't have the inventory am yet. It's just there at level 15, not 75. That's way, way high. What are we looking at here? The ingredient list is ABA. We looked at this in a recent video, and essentially ABA is the lowest average drop list, but the ingredients themselves have a lot of synergy. Early on, you get a good mix of milk and cacao, so short term, this can be quite useful. Now, is it up to par for that long-term invest? That is the main question. Now, I actually think this is. And we can see the inventory M coming up here is overall nice. It's not a problem. And then we have some helping speed S coming in here. And if you just look at this, that's pretty decent. The speed is not clogged up, so this can even be subskill seeded to the speed M. We can evolve this into the Blastoise. We can put it at level 50. You have evolved it twice, and you probably have maybe 1,000 hours on it, depending on just how your teams work out early on. Like, this is a good Pokemon. If you're at Cyan Beach, you might as well put some time into it. This is very solid, and I mean, you could potentially be unlucky here with the subskill seeds and end up with inventory L here. It's not a huge problem. Level 100, we have skill trigger S. Doesn't really matter much, but here we have the big sauce. We have ingredient finding M. And at that point, this is ridiculous. You have milk, cacao, milk. So it's still very milk focused. You get some supplemental cacao. There's a lot of synergies between those two desserts. And at that point, I think you pretty much have a long-term Blastoise right here. I understand the nickname here is 87%. It's like weird calc, but that's kind of where I don't like the calculators as much, because it's very hard to just plot something into a calculator and make it consider your entire collection, the plethora of cooking dishes and synergies and all that stuff. So I would actually, if I was to find a Wartortle like this, or a Squirtle it seems, and have it that early, you're at Cyan Beach most likely, you then also have the Wigglytuff, so maybe Cyan Beach long term is just a camp for you when you work on the area bonus for other areas without being there with this automatic area bonus mover. So yeah, that is very solid. It depends on your playstyle, of course. On my free-to-play, I'm quite very focused, and the reason is simply it's too expensive to catch everything, so I might as well just double down on a couple species and try to get some strong berry finders for the berry findings. But let's say you're premium and you enjoy the cooking a fair bit, then this is a pretty solid Pokemon. Long term, you probably will need some supplemental cacao. Just be prepared for that. And that Absol may be relevant to you. Although long term, potentially there is some other cacao Pokemon that can help you out. Let's say you find a pretty nice Eevee at some point that has double cacao in its list, and it's a little bit of a supplement, but yeah, that's the only thing I see here. Like, you're going to be a little bit short on cacao, but Blastoise is a milk main Pokemon, and ABA is sufficient to do a lot of milk, especially with this. At level 75, you'll have a 50% ingredient rate with a lot of inventory, so this is also super solid. Man, you've got some good Pokemon already. Week 3? That's ridiculous. I haven't found a single long-term Pokemon almost. I found my Wigglytuff, so I can check that off my list, and I'm using base Suicune, but aside from that, There's nothing really too exciting on the free-to-play yet. Okay, let's see what the next Pokemon is. The third and final Pokemon we're going to review in this video. Whoa, that's amazing. Not bad. Okay, I see what we got working on here. We have a Larvitar. It is currently level 5. It's not evolved. And we have ours at 0. And we can reset the traits here and start with the nature, as always, because I like to just get the nature out of the way in case I forget. Mild nature. Overall, it will negatively impact the healing, the self-healing, but we already, it's case closed. You got a strong healer potential already, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. The ingredient list is triple ginger. Oh my goodness, you found a triple ginger Tyranitar early game, which is huge because getting that Tyranitar level up is a massive effort. And then we can start plotting in the sub-skills. Now, what I like to do when I assess my just long-term ingredient specialists for the monolists is I try to look for the monolist and 1 or 2 factors that kind of just work together to make the Pokemon overall a nice Pokemon, you know? And this is 2. I see the calculator here, 81%. I'm gonna 100% disagree with the calculator. This is a definite invest in my opinion. And so we have inventory L here. And at that point, it does not look all that tempting now, does it? But things are about to change. It has Berry Finding S. And at that point, you go like, all right, I see what's up here. The inventory L Berry Finding combo on one of the best Pokemon in the game. I wonder what's next. Oh yeah, the mild nature is going to curve your production a little bit in one direction. And I think at that point, we're just going to evolve it. It's level 50, let's say, a Tyranitar. And it's been evolved twice. Maybe it has, I would put hours into this. Let's put 2,000 hours on it just to be funny. 55 in the inventory. That is very high. And this would be very nice on Snowdrop Tundra. That's what I've been doing personally. I basically have this. Mine has skill level, no, it's experience up instead of the skill level up S. I think I have the same nature too. Here's where it's get a little bit interesting too. It's just interesting all the way around. There's nothing else to say about it. This Tyranitar, you can basically carry this to level 100, despite the fact it's a pseudo, so it's gonna carry a lot of weight. It's gonna require a lot to get it there, but you could potentially be unlucky here with the sub-skill seed, so we're just gonna say you're unlucky. Whoa. You have helping speed ingredient finding Imagine having this at level 100. With a mono list. This is not an 80% Pokemon, this is a home run. Now, I understand ingredient finding M comes in way late, but when you have inventory and berry finding on this Pokemon with a great ingredient list, then yeah, it's just to keep going. So actually, despite the fact you've been playing for what? 4 weeks maybe at this point in time? That's ridiculous. You have potentially 3 long-term Pokemon that you can just put on your team right now and not think twice about it. So congratulations. Whoa, 20 minutes, that's a long video. Yeah, these are some really home run Pokemon, and I'm super interested to hear what you guys watching there at home think about these. Just think back to when you just started the game. What if you found these? Would you have used them? I think I would. So congratulations, Alainite. Hope I pronounced your name correctly. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. To everyone else, you can leave a big old thumbs up if you want to see more content like this in the future. And thank you very much for watching.